It's not the living that we do that is usually fatal. Oh, the natural course will take its course. The fatal life is the life that we do not live. And as Carl Jung reminded us, the only problem children really have is the unlived life of the parents.
Well, hello, friend. This is Heartbeat, the podcast, featuring insights taken from the more than 50 years of work done by our friend Landon Saunders. Today's episode is lifted right out of the latest update to the Heartbeat app, a course entitled The Significant 7 Keys to Fully Living. We'll have more on how you can get information on the Heartbeat app later in the episode, but right now, let's get back to Landon with the first key.
Do you like your name? I'm fortunate. I love my name, Landon Brady Saunders. It just has a nice ring to me. I've always liked it. But do you know what my name almost was? My great-grandmother, when I was born, Landon is one of her son's name, my grandfather's name. And his middle name was Perminus. And my great-grandmother wanted to name me Landon Perminus Saunders. Now, if she had succeeded, I promise you I wouldn't be here tonight. My mother loved my great-grandmother, and she was a quiet and accommodating type of individual. But she knew that that would never work. And my mother, small of stature, crossed her arms and sweetly said, "Never." And if Mother never did anything else in this world to be a success, that makes her a success to me. Now, she was a diplomatic soul. She said to my great-grandmother, she said, "Now you have another son whose name is Brady. Why don't we give him the two first names of your two sons?" Oh, she was tactful. So, now I have a psychiatrist friend, this is true, whose name is Dr. Looney. I'm not done yet. He went into partnership with another therapist whose name was Dr. Nut. Looney and Nut. I think it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was in a hotel room and for some reason was reading the Yellow Pages. And got over to under the physicians, and there was a doctor, safety first, as a physician. How not to miss your life. It's a good subject, and I hope we can at least get started on it tonight. How to live that good life, how not to miss, how to know that I've really lived. As one gets older in the world, it becomes a more important question because we've said too many times for it almost to have any meaning. It's over so quickly. It seems like we just get started and then we're counting down the time. And yet, if there's life in us, there's always time. Always time not only for life, but for a good life, a full life, a rich life. If you had or I had but one day left, and if all the previous days had been days of pain and suffering and failure, we would still go all out to make sure that you didn't miss your life. Because when I understand life, I know that no matter what my past has been, if I have a single moment left, I don't have to die having missed my life. How can I live? How can I know that I really live day by day, week by week, and year by year? It's not the living that we do that is usually fatal. Oh, the natural course will take its course. The fatal life is the life that we do not live. And as Carl Jung reminded us, the only problem children really have is the unlived life of the parents. It is the unlived life. It's the life that we're missing, and we know it. It is the life that we're missing, and that because we know something is missing, it leaves us adrift in loneliness and despair, leaves us in depression, leaves us with all these resentments and all these jealousies and all these disappointments and all this emptiness that can be a part of the human experience. It is the unlived life, the life that we miss day after day, even as we're putting in our times. And how many people we've met who by age of 30 or 35 years old are living a life that's already over. Death has already set in, and all they're going to do is breathe out the remaining of the days. It is so easy to lose our lives, even while we continue this breathing process. How not to equate breath, as powerful and as wonderful as just breath is, but how not to equate that with a life that is full and rich and that has understood the pain, the suffering that may be a part of that life, the misturns of the road, the valleys as well as the mountaintops. How can I live my whole life, my whole experience? And so I want to begin with a teaching story. And of all the stories I tell, this is one of my most favorite stories. I would remind you that it is a teaching story, and that means that it is a living story. And that means that it is a story that is not to be gotten in the telling, that when I'm through with it, I don't want you to think, well, I got that. It's not that kind of story, as I think you will see. But it's a story that I want you to tell. I hope you remember it well enough tonight that you can tell it to any family members who did not come. I hope it's a story that you can repeat to your friends. I hope it's a story you can talk about for a long time to come. I hope it's a story that you'll repeat in every remaining decade of your life. It's the story of a young man who came to the old wise teacher, and he was very distressed. And he said, "Oh, teacher, I hate the world. I despise the world. There's so much pain, there's so much suffering in the world that I hate the world. I loathe it. I despise it. Please, please, will you tell me how to live in this world?" The old teacher looked at the distraught young man deeply into his eyes and said, "I don't think I can tell you anything." "Oh, but you must. You don't know how distressful I'm finding life. I want to live. But life has so many disappointments and there are so many trials. And even I have already suffered so much. I hate the world. Please tell me how to live in the world." And the old teacher said, "Well, I'll tell you, but I don't know if you'll do it. I want you to go, and for 1 year, you may not do anything that you do not enjoy. Nothing. If you're walking down the street and you're not enjoying it, you must sit down. If you're working and you're not enjoying it, you must stop immediately. If you're with friends and not enjoying it, you must dismiss yourself. That the only thing you may not do is those things you do not enjoy. When you realize you're not enjoying it, you must stop immediately." The young man said, "Nobody can do that. I couldn't get through a day. I couldn't get through a week. You know, no one can do that." And the old teacher said, "I didn't think I could tell you anything." And the young man left. And after a year, he returned. And when he returned, there was a great smile on his face, a lot of joyousness in his eyes, and the old man knew that he had understood what he had told him. And he put his hand on his shoulder and said, "Now, my son, go, and perhaps you can be of some use to the world." Did you see Dances with Wolves? Oh, what a wonderful... one of my favorite places was when the old gentleman Kickingbird was talking with Dances with Wolves. And he said to him, "I've been thinking. Of all the trails there are in this world, there is one that matters most. It is the trail of a true human being. I believe you are on that trail, and it is good to see." Isn't that the truth? Of all the trails in this world, the one that matters most is the trail of a true human being. And each of you is on that trail of a real human being. Are you not on the trail? You say, "I don't know if I'm on the trail or I'm not on the trail." Let me say it for you. You're on the trail tonight. You're on the trail of a true human being. We may need to make some corrections here and there, but go ahead and accept it and live it and embrace it, that you are on the trail of a true human being. And however much trueness may not be there, yes, we need to get to that. I've talked a good deal about joyousness, and one of the reasons is that the word rejoice means to penetrate through to what is really real. That's what rejoice means. That one will not be able to enjoy all the things that we do in this world unless we can penetrate the illusions, unless we can get through all the games that are being played in life and begin to get down to what is really real in life. Rejoicing is penetrating this veil to see what is really real. Now, being on the trail of a true human being means that I'm going to have to give some real attention to that. How does one do that? There are so many problems, aren't there? It's so easy to lose our lives. It's so easy to get unhooked, to get disconnected, to get distracted. It is so easy to give our lives up for someone else's life. It's so easy for us to be bit players in the drama of our own existence. How can we stay in the midst of our own real life? I have a very dear friend who was in 12 foster homes as she was growing up. She was abused in several of those homes, the full range of abuse. By the age of 15 or 16, she was on the streets in Manhattan, a lonely, distressed, abused little girl. And finally, life became so noisy, and the noise in her own head became so great that she found an institution for the mentally ill and placed herself in it. And it was like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. But because she was underage, she couldn't get out. And my, what she suffered there. And then came the day that she was released to that. And in the midst of her story, she was gang raped on a dock in the city. And as a result of that gang rape, a little child was born that was disfigured in almost every conceivable way possible. That this little girl, still little girl, would not somehow give the little baby up. And she held it and nursed it until it died. This is an individual who, when she found her father, was taken on the second journey, a man she had not seen and couldn't remember, but that yearned to be with him again, only to be taken to a motel room and violating his own daughter. This is an individual who still was trying to live in this world. She didn't want to miss her life. The suffering, the pain, any one of these things, as you know, can destroy any of us. And yet she tries to keep going. She finally becomes a part of a sort of courtesy service in New York. And to live and to eat, she sells herself to business individuals who came through. But still she tries. She lives in the basement of a little restaurant and works. So young and so alone and so much pain. They befriend her a little bit and begin to nurture her. It was the first little nurture that she got. And finally, she was moving down the street one day, and she kept seeing this on the corner stones of buildings, a plaque saying this building is managed by someone. And so she kept thinking, if I could just do something like that, then maybe. And she found a woman who was in the real estate business in New York, winding her business down. And she had Pat do little odd jobs for her. And then she got better. But about the time that got started, the woman went to California and sent her a telegram that she was not coming back. Hopes dashed again, except the woman said, I'd like to sell you my whole business for $5,000. Well, of course, Pat didn't have $5,000, but she remembered a man that she had met in the service that she had been in who seemed to be a little different. And when he bade her goodbye, he said, if there's anything I could ever do for you, please call. And she called him, and he wired her $5,000, and she bought that little business. And then she saw one special name on that building, and she thought, well, maybe the person who does that, his name is on so many buildings, if he would let me manage just one of them, then, it would give me a start. And so she goes to the office, and he doesn't keep the appointment. And again, she's disturbed and just sat down and wrote him a very hot letter and left it with his secretary. When she got back to her little office, the phone was ringing, and it was that man, and he said, I was terribly sorry, and you had every right to be upset. Please come back. They came back. He had just gotten a divorce, and when he saw Pat and Pat saw him, the sparks flew. And before she knew it, she was in love with him and he with her. But she hadn't told him the story because, of course, the question would be, if I tell the story, will he still love me? And she decided that she had to tell him everything that had happened, and she did. And she said he looked at her and said, is it over? And she said, yes. And they were married. And a week after they were married, she was in Lyndon Johnson's White House at a state dinner for the Shah of Iran. You talking about from one end of the world to the other end, she's there. He was killed. She's married to a marvelous Greek individual now. I saw her just recently. And every time I look at her, a lovely, beautiful, creative, producing person, you can see the pain there. You look in her eyes just a moment, and you can see 100 lifetimes that are there. And yet, is she on the trail of a true human being? It's the most important trail. And then there is my life and your life. All of these things that we could refer to as the wilderness of our lives. All of these things happening in this wilderness time. These things that happen to us that we do not choose. These things that happen to us that sort of come out of nowhere, and they take our lives and they redefine our lives, and sometimes they change our lives forever. And sometimes the blows are so severe that we are knocked down so hard that we feel like that we can never rise again, that we can't come back, that there is no tomorrow for us, and so we settle in for the long wait for our own death. So many things happen to us in the wilderness moments of our lives. Is there anything that is more difficult and more painful and more harder to get over than just the breakup of a powerful and wonderful relationship? But when it happens, you can't lose your life. We have physical ailments. I've been through back surgery and heart attack and open heart surgery. The other day, even had to have a hernia repaired. You can't even get any sympathy for that one. If it's something major, it hurts worse than some of the others. But you can't even get any sympathy for that. The things that strike us down in the midst of our years. Trying to find my own way to the hospital. Fighting the loss of consciousness. 49 years old. and thinking, what's this all about? I'm just 49. So many hopes and so many dreams. I've wanted to be on the right trail. I've wanted to live for the right things. I've wanted to have the right values. Is there any place in my life for this? And does this mean that my life is somehow of no account? Does this wipe out all the years that I have lived? Oh, life can do such numbers on us. And we lose our sense of direction, and we lose our way and the trail of the true human being. And then we talk about, you may do nothing that you do not enjoy. Where does it all fit? How do I not miss my own life? And in the midst of this wilderness, we ask sometimes, will there ever be light again? I saw in something written a few days ago, Ingmar Bergman, the filmmaker, confessed to a friend, I'm about to lose my joy. I can feel it physically. It's running out. I'm just drying up inside. And then I recalled the words of Johann Sebastian Bach, who discovered that his wife and two of their children had died while he was away on a trip. And he sits down in the dampness and cold of his room and writes in his journal, Dear Lord, may my joy not leave me. And in his autobiography, Bergman wrote, all through my conscious life, I lived with what Bach calls his joy. It carried me through crisis and misery and functioned as faithfully as my heart, sometimes overwhelming and difficult to handle, but never antagonistic or destructive. Bach called this state his joy.
Well, if you enjoyed today's episode, it was entitled, Don't Miss Out on Your Own Life. And it's taken from The Significant Seven, Keys to Fully Living. It's the latest addition to the Heartbeat app, and the app is available on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, or you can find out more information by visiting thisisheartbeat.com. There are 7 lessons just like this one. We think you'll like it. This is Heartbeat, the podcast, is made possible by Friends of Heartbeat. And they invite you to visit the website, thisisheartbeat.com, where you'll find out more about the app as well as other information about Landon's work. Until next time, when we'll pick up with the second key to fully living, this is Heartbeat, the podcast.